I can see it, I think, clear enough. Look, it's just pixels when I zoom in that much, but you know, sometimes that's good too. You can't get bogged down with the detail when you are just looking at the basics. When you're just getting the basic shapes, you can't get bogged down. So here, what I do is when I'm trying to place the legs, I'm looking at the negative space. Look at the space in between the head and the legs. Now, your brain is going to say, hey, wait a minute, the head is not as long as that leg, but we got some foreshortening. The head is closer to us than that leg. So look at the length of the head and neck. It looks as long as the leg almost. So don't trust what you think you see, what you actually see. So I'm looking at this space, I'm looking at the shape that is being made by the angle here. I just got these a little bit. And this leg is coming almost straight down, maybe tipped ever so slightly, like one direction. A little fatter at the top. Deer's legs are, you know, it's usually when you look at it and you think, boy, those legs look so skinny. But that's how they are. You've got to trust what you see and not what you think you see. If you want to draw accurately. If you want to be stylized, then you don't have to. So looking at the angle from the snout to the bottom of the leg. Get that a little bit too. So I got to make that kind of push out a little bit. And then it's oh, I wonder if I can erase that. I probably shouldn't have done that. Well, you know, it's more important for you to see how to construct this rather than me having a beautiful drawing. So I've probably erased that, but for your information, now we've got this kind of like chest bone there, and it's making this shape here. I'm looking at the shape between the legs, and I will stop for questions in a little bit. I'm not looking at the chat right now because I think this actually, this knee should be up higher. And this would be a little bit slimmer. And the knee should be up here actually. So don't be afraid to change your mind. Like, oh, I got that wrong. Don't just keep going with the wrongness. Stop and fix it. You will thank yourself as you get further down in the drawing and you're not overcompensating for everything. So just stop and redo it. Erase it if you have to. Now we've got space in between the legs. That's what the graphics tend to be fun, so I'm kind of heavy-handed when I draw. This knee here. So this will just be more pigment and I'll be able to dissolve. And this foot appears to be up. See how it's kind of like off the ground there? So we've almost got like a little bit of a diamond or an oval. Then we're seeing the leg back here. We've got this rhombus kind of shape in here. Thank you, Annette. She said my drawing was easy to follow. I appreciate that. Okay, so we're going to draw this kind of triangular shape, and it gets real skinny right here from where we're seeing it. Then we're seeing this leg kind of coming forward, and this leg, I'm trying to decipher those two legs. So this leg is bent, the opposite legs are off the ground. So this leg's off the ground, and then the furthest one back there is going to be off the ground, and this one's actually giving support and coming straight down. Or just a slight angle. I have too much of an angle there, but I think that's all right, so I'll just fix that line. I'll fix it and then get to the other one, and we'll plant that one right there in the ground. Nice and sturdy. It's too bad their little tails aren't looking. Cute little tails. Your little negative space in between the back legs. This back knee is kind of protruding out, and then it's legs coming in here. We've got a thickness. I know it looks awkward, but it looks awkward there too. So if it looks awkward and that's how it looks, draw it that way. Now, because I knew that I was going to have really great detail in these photos, so I did want to have products that were going to be kind of flowy, and that's why I grabbed Mungio paints, because I might just want to have that kind of whooshy. What I never have my timing right. I would love to just, like, sometimes I'm sitting on my balcony, the deer will be out eating, and but it's like if I run in, if I don't have my supplies out with me, I know I'll just spook them. So I figured getting photos and then doing this live on camera would actually give me that kind of same feeling of doing sketching it live with the deer. So we've got a little bit of a boniness here, and we've got a little bit of a peak on the rump. Very bold, barely bodied. I want to get that little bit where the neck is actually coming in. Because like I remember I said the necks are deceptively long. They look shorter than they are. And I'm just going to throw in some shading. Let's shade this back leg. I just love the deer. I love the deer and I love the crows. Oh, I was making juice. We juiced a bunch of beets because my sister gave me a bunch of beets from her garden. And so many. She had done a bunch of pickled beets, but she had picked way too many. And so nobody's really huge beet fans around here. I like beets a lot and beet beans. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna juice them because they're so healthy. And so I juiced a bunch of beets and some veggies, and then I put the pulp out. I put them out for the crows, but I didn't think the crows would take them, so I just kind of threw them in the woods. And I put some on this big stump where I feed the crows. The deer came and they were like chowing down like it was Molly Pinnipa Pie. It was the cutest thing you ever saw. Mama and baby deer. Oh my gosh, so adorable. I just love them. Okay, so there is deer number one. So I think what we'll do is we'll go into some water, and then we'll go into some extra watercolors if we need to. We'll see how that looks, and then we'll go on to the next one. So I'm just having fun here. I hope you guys are too. Hope you have your sketchbooks out. I haven't used these Graphitints in so long, so I don't know how much pigment they're going to give me right just on their own. This is a Rowan Revolution brush. It's a synthetic sable, and I grabbed this one instead of my Mimic squirrel ones because I thought they might have a little bit more oomph to push the paint. But I might actually end up going with a golden tafflon just because I think the pencil might need a little bit more. One of the reasons I wanted to get the Graphitin pans, which I haven't got yet, but I got an itchy, the one monster is pushing hard for those, is because they look like they would granulate really well, and granulating watercolor is so popular right now, and I love it, but I haven't bought any of the specialty granulating paints because it's like I know what pigments granulate that I already have, but the Graphitints just seem like they would granulate they granulate as much as like all those really expensive granulating watercolors, but they're pretty affordable, like in the pans. They're cheaper than the pencils right now, and you probably get a very equivalent amount of product. It's just you don't have the ability to sketch like with a pencil. So I don't know. I'm just like, Lindsay, you need to use what you have first, and then see if it's something you think you're really going to use, so it doesn't just go into the Museum of Art Supplies in the other room. I want to add it to the hoard. Well, I do want to add it to the hoard, but that was irresponsible. I think this guy's pretty cute, but I do think I'm going to want to add some more watercolor to it. I also am not sure if I have the most recent, because my Inktense are pretty old. I got them when they first came out, so I'm not sure, because I know they reformulated them. So I'm not even sure if my oh my goodness, my Graphitin pencils are what the reformulation. I heard the reformulation's better. So I don't know. I have a feeling I probably have the older versions that have them for so long. Which is all pretty well though. See, I'm not seeing a lot of graphite. I'm seeing mostly like pigment. Oh, I should have tried to erase that. I wonder if these erase. I have to be careful though, so I don't get. Oh, you know what? They erase pretty good. I just don't want to smear the wet. So if I can erase it after it's dry, try to go in there with a dry brush. Also, it would be kind of pretty to do some grasses. I think might as well because their little paws the paws in the ground are. They are, they're in the grass. And oh my gosh, we've had so much rain up here in the Northeast that like the lawn has not slowed down. So, I mean, it's good for the deer. They're getting all sorts of delectable goodies, but our, had to mow so frequently. I say we, my husband's had to mow so frequently. I think also let's see what would happen if I just did a little bit of, I want to see how the side of this pencil, how much pigment I'll get there. Oh, I'm really enjoying sketching with these, I've gotta say. Just do a little bit of that. Oh, I love using up a sketchbook, and it's kind of fun when I find a sketchbook I completely forgot about it, and then I see like all the I want a different brush. And then I see all the artwork that I've done in it that I completely have forgotten about. Something I like to do, like with grasses, is to like just wet the bottom portions of them if I've done them in watercolor pencil and let them like let the bottoms kind of bleed out, but leave the tops. Oh, I think that might have been better with just a little bit more suggestion and less color, but oh well, live and learn, right? But then I can actually go back in with a pencil on the wet paper and I can give it some more little grasses. If you have any questions, type the word question in all caps, and I'm going to take a peek for questions in a few minutes. And I'll be looking at the recent ones. I think I do want to add a little bit of watercolor. This is weird for me to have it on that side. You know what, I'm just going to scoop this over. Because I know I'll get confused. Okay, I'll drip it on my stuff if I go that way. Come on, you turn back around the right way. Now I can't really, I can't really see the details, so I'm just going to be putting in very broad strokes. But then again, if I was outside sketching these guys, it would be very distant. I wouldn't be able to get detail anyway, so it would just be quick sketches. I'm going to use a little bit of black. Why not? I highly recommend you make a swatch chart with your watercolors. I was actually going to use my roses today, but I didn't. My swatch chart was in another sketchbook, and I don't use them enough to be really confident with what the colors are going to look like when they are painted out compared to how they look in the pans. So I went with these just because I knew I get a good swatch in here. I like this brown and black mix. Just looking for the basic dark tones. Get the eye area. Probably should have either let my paper dry completely or charged in with this watercolor when it was a little bit wetter. But I'll probably just go in and re-wet some areas and smooth things out a little bit. But this is just the first one. That's why I want to get some paint on, just so I could kind of get used to this paper and get used to the supplies since they're not ones I use regularly. And I just think these particular Ungio paints are pretty when you just let the water and the paint do their thing. I noticed the deer didn't seem to have their spots, so I think they must be getting a little bit older. I think it was a mama and 3 babies, maybe. Got this guy's face a little bit bigger than it. Its jaw a little bit bigger, but get that ear defined again. I lost the ear. All right, I think I'm gonna leave this guy be. I think that's nice for our first sketch from really far away, and I'm gonna go look for questions. I'm actually gonna set this. I think I'm gonna hit this with a heat tool because I don't want to smear it, but I can answer questions when I do that. Actually, my microphone's over there, so I'm gonna heat it over here. Get away from the microphone. Okay, I'm gonna be working backwards with the questions, so they're gonna be opposite of when they've been submitted. Question from Stephanie S. Can you do more videos on watercolor pencils? I'm having so much trouble figuring them out. I generally use watercolor pencils with other things, so they're usually kind of like I'll sketch with them and then I'll add paint. I will try to add another watercolor pencil one. I did just do one for Michael's, and it's on Michael's YouTube channel. And I also have a video that's called Watercolor Pencils 101, and it goes like through everything you need to know pretty much. So that would be a great primer for you to check out if you're having trouble with the techniques and getting used to them and knowing what to do with them. Let's see. I'm scrolling back and looking for the word question in all caps. So if I miss your question, that might be why. Oh, I don't really see a question. Do you know Paul Rubin has watercolor pencils? No, I didn't know that. If they do, wow. If that's true, if you're asking me if they have them, I don't think they do, but if they do have them, then no, I don't know about them. And you know what? I know White Knights has watercolor pencils, and I kind of wonder if they might be, if that's the case, if they might be the same. I just opened something up on my screen and it's covering the chat. I don't know how to get rid of it. Go away. That's like the weather is up on my screen. And we still weather on the side. This is gonna be frustrating for people watching the video. You can skip ahead and replay watchers. Oh, and on my screen is different. What did I do? Oh, I opened Microsoft Edge. My computer, my laptop is kind of like on its last days. And I think I saw it. And so like the clicker doesn't work, so I have to like tap on the little touchpad and then different things open up. It's very strange. Okay, so let's go to our next color that we're going to sketch. And let's go to try to get your sketchbook to be parallel, like at 90-degree angles, so that when you carry an angle over, it's being accurate. So, oh yeah, my angle's actually just about right. And you'll get good at this. It's just, it just takes practice like anything else. So then we get the angle, the rump there. I'm just gonna get this basic shape in here. Deer are surprisingly also thicker in the middle. Like you might not realize that. You know, because we see them, we picture them as such graceful animals. They are very graceful when they're moving, but they kind of look like a potato with two thick legs, really, when you look at them. And then we've got the neck. Got this kind of blocky chest bone here. And then look at the negative space. This is really great for negative space though, because at the green against the brown. So I'm going to pull that off at almost like a right angle. The leg is coming down and And then the angle does get a little bit more perpendicular as we come down. It flares out a little bit right before we get to the hook. And I'm taking this photo through the window, so I'm looking down a little bit at the deer. So, you know, the deer is looking up at me because it's heard me. It heard me inside. Let me get this little jewel down here. I don't know what you want to call it. Just a little, now we'll call it the trapezoid. And then this other little leg, I think the deer's posing for me. It's like, you know, looking real sassy there. We've got this other leg, and again, we can borrow the angle if we want. We can go like that. You can bring that angle up, but notice that the foot is going to be much higher. So, see how far back it is compared to that first one. And sometimes I'll just go like that, and go like that. That's how I'll borrow the angle. I'm looking at the negative space, so the knee is going to get higher on the back one because it's further back. It's got some foreshortening, and it's going to look shorter because it's, you know, further away. Perspective there. And let's see, let me do those guys again. Figure out where the foot's going to fall. It's going to fall out. Right there. I made that a little bit too thick up here. I'm just going to erase that. That looks a little awkward, but we'll see after we get the other portions in how awkward it is. So I'm looking at this curve there, negative space. Because of that two bones there. And it's coming straight down. And then I'm looking at the angle, the tape, like where the front and back, like how they're kind of lined up. So that back leg is going to be ending right around there. And then the straight from this back leg is turned towards me. And you can actually see the hook there better than other angles. Just kind of neat. You got this little toe or something up their leg. My dog has short brown hair. She's very agile. She loves to chase. She actually got loose from me yesterday because she spotted the deer and I didn't. And she pulled free when I was walking in the woods. And I was fine. It was a while before I got her back. She actually came home luckily, so I wasn't going to catch her. You see a little bit of the tail. So whenever she spots him, she's just like, I need to be with my people. I got, look, are you my mother? Is that a bug? That's not just you. And isn't a dog going around asking for my mother? Or it's a bird, I can't remember, but this is some confused animal. It's like, my mother? And the cow goes, I am not your mother, I am a cow. Moo, moo. I think I have the neck a little far out actually. I'm looking at, I think that line is coming out too far, so I'm just, and plus the neck looks a little thick. Bring that in. Fix it when you notice it. If you see it's wrong, just fix it now. You're gonna thank yourself later. Erase that double line. That. You can actually wet any of the lines you don't want, kind of spread them out to the ether. Just kind of like let them dissolve. Now the nose. Let's see. I'm looking at the back here. Dips up. Face is right about here. The nose. I'm just going to put a circle there. How dare you disturb my breakfast, lady? He says. Or she. Trying to hear. But I love your dog chases me. Maybe they were looking for Penny. I don't know. the forehead there. Makes the ears have a really small way that he's lined, where the neck is lined up. And let's get here. The ears are also like larger than they seem like they should be. I'm kind of trying to see. Okay, we have this other leg in here, so there's some space between the back legs. And this leg is going to swoop down and meet almost meet that foot. This angle is not right, the legs aren't right. I think that's what it is. And overall, this one's looking pretty awkward, but I think that once we add, oops, that's not right. So I try to find unifying lines, so I'll move the line top the head down the leg. I'm trying to find lines that need to unify, and then a little bit. Line right up to the heel. There. Let's see, this looks a little awkward, but all right. You get the crumbs out of the way, and then maybe let's wet the entire area and then charge in some watercolor while everything is still pretty wet. I'll just do a real quick. Oh, Sheila, she did at the Frugal Crafter when she asked a question that stood out to me, so I could see that. So please do that if you're asking a question as well. Do you draw upside down to get the proportions and lines correct? Yes, I do often. I will draw upside down. Obviously, not today, but yeah, that really helps, especially with a portrait. And just doing another, just to scroll back and comment and see if anybody has any dire questions. Somebody said, what set are you using? I'm using the Mojo set of 48 for watercolors, and I'm using the Graphitin set of 24. Everything is linked in the video description, or at least it should be. I don't know if I messed it up and deleted it, then I'll put it back afterwards. That's not beyond the scope of stuff here. ZZ Creations says, hi Lindsay, I recently got the Derwent Graphitin pans. Have you worked with them? I'm having trouble figuring out what to do with them. No, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, they are on my want list. I really want to get the set of Graphitin pans because they look like they would granulate really beautifully, and I think that would be pretty. Oh, somebody said, I think somebody was asking about watercolor pencils and light fastness. The Albright Drawers are light fast. And then other than that, I would go pencil by pencil. Actually, I wouldn't even say all. The Albright Drawer from Faber-Castell are light fast, but they do have ratings and they do rank pretty high. If you go to if you have Derwent products, you want to go to the Derwent product page because they rate. They have charts. You want to look at the color charts. They have ratings for all of their products. So I'm not loving that brush. I might have to go back to my. I'm gonna have to go back to my tried and trues. My creative marks. On Derwent, they have the color charts, and every individual pencil is rated, so then you can determine what colors to choose if light fastness is your priority. In a sketchbook, I'm not that concerned. I do think that Derwent reformulated the graphitints, and I'm not sure if I have new or old ones because I got mine a long time ago, because there was some light fast issues with one of the reds, I think. But if you were buying them today, you'd get the new version, which has the better light fastness. But you can look all that information up. For most of the legacy brands will have that. Your budget ones, I wouldn't trust light fastness on the budget pencils just because I don't believe they've paid to have that testing done. And they're probably just regurgitating what the factories tell them. And I don't necessarily, I mean, we get really vibrant pinks and purples. Those are difficult colors to make light fast. So I wouldn't necessarily trust those claims. But if you're getting them from like Derwent or Faber Castell, Caran d'Ache, I think the Museum Aquarelle from Caran d'Ache are also light fast. You just gotta do your research, look at the charts, and they're usually rated individually per pencil, and then select colors that meet your criteria for light fastness. I mean, theoretically, they use the same pigments that are in the paints, and so if the paint's a light fast pigment, not all watercolors light fast. If the pigment's light fast, then it should be regardless of what you're using. All right, so let's see. I'm actually gonna, I never use gray watercolor, so I think I actually will. And sometimes the funny thing is, sometimes with like the more budget watercolors, you'll get some really pretty like granulation effects. It's actually probably filler and stuff that you're seeing in there, not true granulation. But you can get some of those pretty effects with some of those cheap watercolor paints. So, if you're wild monsters, then go and gaga with the granulating paints, and you don't really care about light fastness, dig around in your, island of misfit art supplies and see what you got on hand that maybe you weren't too keen on before, but will give the effect, the textural effect that you want now. Now, of course, granulating colors from a legacy brand. Generally, your granulating colors are your mineral pigments, and they're going to be more light fast just naturally. So, you're going to get a better light fast product if you're using the legacy brand. But if you're having fun, you just want to play, nothing wrong with that. I'm going to use a little yellow ochre, so I'll yellow ochre. So I am kind of pumping my colors up a little bit. This is fun. I love it when I take a photo and then I like immediately end up painting it. I feel so, I don't know, virtuous. It's like buying a supply and then immediately using it. You don't feel too guilty about purchasing the supply. Let's see. Oh, no, I'm like way back on comments. And yet I'm afraid to press buttons. Shield's wondering how long ago they changed the graphitints. I think it was pretty soon after they released them. Honestly, I don't think too many of the older ones got out, but I could be wrong. I like to use a lot of water when I want to get granulating effects because I find that it really helps like the colors sediment out. So I can look at my swatch to see which color. I didn't do my swatches very wet, so I can't really see what colors would generally granulate on this. Oh shoot! Gave the deer goiter. You know what? I probably should have used cotton paper, but I was using, just kind of fooling around. I didn't want to use expensive paper, or like, finer paper. But the paper would have stayed wetter more uniformly if I had the cotton paper. So if you're struggling with that, with stuff drying in like non-conformally, it's drying at different rates. That's probably because it's a cellulose paper. That can be frustrating. I was putting my darker values with that mix. Naomi C. Art says, having a late lunch break today at work, so I'll watch the replay. Just wanted to pop on and say hello. Oh, hello, I appreciate that. Thank you. And comments are so, chatting, comments, interacting on your favorite YouTube channels is so helpful for the creators. So thank you for to everybody that is active on live streams on behalf of me and all the other YouTube creators out there, because it really is helpful. YouTube determines whether to promote a video or a channel or a live stream based on how active the people are in it, and I appreciate it. I also appreciate you guys helping each other with questions when I can't pay attention to the screen. That's very nice. I want to give a little bit of swell to the belly because it does a little bit of a deeper chest area than tummy, so I want to get that in there. I want to give a little bit of a shadow where the neck the body turns into the neck. Sheila says, are you on every week on Wednesday? I just happened to see you on. No, this is completely, I used to stream fairly regularly on Fridays with my niece Sarah before the pandemic. I didn't stop because of the pandemic. I stopped because I was just overwhelmed with everything, and the live stream stopped performing very well. And so I decided just to kind of do them when I felt, just when I felt like it. And so, which means I do it on my own, because I'm not gonna like have somebody on call just for whenever I feel like it, you know. But I do miss doing them with her, but I like the flexibility of just being able to, you know, turn on the camera and do it when I feel like I have something, when I feel like, you know, hanging out and doing it. Sometimes I would get stressed out because I have too much planned in a week, or I would be behind, and then, you know, it's kind of stressful. I wanted it to be fun and more easygoing. Actually really enjoying this. Just this loose sketch. I'm really liking this. I wouldn't mind getting back into a regular schedule of it, but then again, it's also just kind of a fun surprise, you know. It's like, ooh. I was a few days last. Well, I guess if I did make a schedule, I'd probably stick to it, because I'm a what do you call it? Gretchen Rubin has a book called The Four Tendencies, and upholder. I'm an upholder. If I say I'm going to do something, or if I put it in my schedule and I do it, even if it it's kind of ridiculous and I'm holding myself to doing something. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I'm an upholder, borderline questioner. So I have to question everything first. It's going to be a good idea before I do it. But once I decide I'm going to do it, then I'm relentless. I didn't have a lot of ticks around, so that means the deer population's been relatively tick-free and healthy. I got Lyme disease though, and it's such a hard to diagnose thing. I'm gonna thicken up the neck to get rid of the goiter. Poor deer. Oh, poor deer. There we go, that looks a little bit better. I think I'm gonna leave this be. Maybe do a little bit of ground. Put water in first. And then I was going with different brushes today because I thought that it would be better with the pencils, but the pencils dissolve really easily, so I didn't really need them. And I'm just, you know, these are like tried and true. I'm so comfortable with them. I'm just gonna put some new grasses in, let them flow.